No. Yes, you're correct.
Evening, everybody, and welcome to our third budget work session. Today is March 6th, 2017. I'd like to ask everybody to stand and we'll read the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight's agenda may be a full agenda, and we have a lot of presenters here tonight. So according to the town charter, I am going to ask each speaker as they come up to abide by the charter, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Otherwise, we'll be here till 11 o'clock tonight. So with that being said, I'd like to start the presentation. Steve, do you have anything to say before?
No, just, we've given you the list of each of the agencies and the representatives that'll be here this evening, and would ask that you just call them, ask them to identify themselves for the record, and provide the comments.
Sure. The first organization to come, I don't know if Marlene Roberti is here, but a representative from Thundermist. If somebody is here from Thundermist, come up to the podium and identify yourself. Oh, either way, it doesn't.
Good evening. My name is Marlene Roberti, and I'm the Associate Vice President for Development and Communications at Thundermist Health Center. I hope that you are all at least somewhat familiar with Thundermist, but for those of you who might not be, we are a federally qualified community health center located down the street at One River Street. We opened a new building. We've been in this community for nearly 40 years. We acquired the Health Center of South County in 1990, and we've been operating it since. And 2 years ago, we opened a brand new facility with a lot of support from the town of South Kingstown. Our mission is to improve the health of our communities by delivering exceptional health care, removing barriers to that care, and promoting healthy lifestyles. Last year, the health center altogether served about 8,600 people, 2,971 of whom were from South Kingstown. 313 of those people were uninsured. The money that we get from the town of South Kingstown helps to support that. Our average cost of an encounter is about $165 per encounter, and last year those 313 people received, I believe, about 1,200 encounters. So as you can see, it doesn't quite cover it, but we have some other federal dollars that help us do that. That's about a 10% uninsured rate. Before the Affordable Care Act, that rate was at 40%. We don't know what to anticipate will happen in the coming year, but certainly this is a time where it's important to continue funding and continue serving folks that don't have insurance. As you may know, we have dental services, medical services, and behavioral health services at our facility in South County. We just added 2 psychiatric nurse practitioners to the practice, as well as have a collaboration with the Providence Center where they're offering a mental health home right within the facility as an added service. I don't know if you have any questions, but I'd be happy to answer them.
No,
All right, I'll give you back a minute.
well, I actually think a lot of people actually in the community really know what you
Sure,
provide
sure.
to our town and the community at large, and Thundermist does a really good job.
Thank you, thank you. Sure. Sorry.
I think it's 29%.
No, 2971. Oh, okay. Yes. Of the 8,671 people that we served in South County last year, at our South County facility, 2,971 were from South Kingstown.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Next is South County Home Health. Is somebody here? If you would prefer to sit here, it's up to you. You can, whatever you're most comfortable. I think if the mic isn't on, just press the button and you'll see a red light.
It's on now? Is it on? Red light's on.
Okay.
Hi, Mary Lou Rhodes from South County Home Health, formerly Visiting Nurse Services. We changed our name last year, so we've been in the community about 115 years, serving patients basically in the home. About 20% of our residents are from South Kingstown. In addition to home visits, which are reimbursed primarily through third-party insurers, although often under-reimbursed, we do serve senior centers and do, which for health checks, blood pressure checks, just routine screenings and guidance, and provide education. This past year, we did some balanced screening for folks and then make appropriate referrals. One of our programs that is severely underfunded is a program for children, mothers and children, newborns at risk. It's called the First Connections, and it helps identify families at risk right from birth. The premise being that early intervention, as soon as we can get in there and hook these families up to appropriate services, that the children will survive, thrive and survive. So that's one of the statewide programs that's also funded federally and underfunded. And I think I'll just answer questions, and if there's anything else. No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next would be Tri-County Community Action, Joe DeSantis, if.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the council for their support for South County Community Action over the last 15 years that we've been at that organization. Been very generous. Maybe you do know that we've merged Tri-Town Community Action Agency with South County Community Action Agency, and that has happened last October. And we did that because we actually thought we were going to do a short stint as managers for South County Community Action, but we were there for 15 years. So it made a lot of sense for us administratively and to deploy staff more efficiently to merge. So we did do that, and we're already seeing some benefit. So just wanted to update you on that if you didn't have that information. Actually, the merger is working quite well. We did have some obstacles before we merged, but Head Start decided that they had to go out to bid if we were to merge, and they had to put that contract out nationally, and we had to win it back. So there was some hesitancy on the part of my board to do that because we could have lost the contract. We did not, and we're in full swing right now. So again, I want to thank you for your support and hope you can continue to support us. And I do have a list of services that we do provide in the town of South Kingstown. And do you guys have that in front of you? Volunteer income tax assistant, 165 families for a cash value of $33,000. Youth success, pregnant teens, that's $3,740. Youth diversionary program, youth employment and training, which is $50,000. Head Start, $79,000. And child care, we do run the Joyful Learning Academy. That's part of our agency, and that's $225,000. And most of those folks are from South Kingstown. Family Care Community Partnership, which is funded by DCYF, keeps kids out of the child welfare system, a very successful program, and we've been operating that for several years. Heating assistance, 402 families receive $281,000 in heating assistance. And those are people from elderly, disabled, low to moderate income. Weatherization, 16 families received weatherization services to their homes in the amount of $60,000. Also, we do appliance management program, boiler replacement program and repair, basic needs, and a lot of that is from our FCC program, which has a FLECT fund, and we also do elder care case management for $65,000 and commodities distribution. The total outlay of service to the town of South Kingstown is $989,527,000, and we do receive, I believe we received $24,000, and that's our request this year. But I would like to add too, and I think it's something we may have neglected to mention in the past. We defund the South Kingstown Senior Center for $20,744, and that's not arbitrary. We write a grant as a regional agency, and we fund North Kingstown, South Kingstown, Westerly, and Johnston, and I think the Woonsocket Center. Our organization now covers more than half the state of Rhode Island. We work officially in 19 cities and towns, and probably some of our grants go into Woonsocket beyond those 19 towns. So we do have a very difficult challenge in that we're serving more than half the state of Rhode Island. So I got a meeting in Burrillville, and then I got to go down to Westerly. So it's, and I know that I should be at some of these meetings because I think that it's appropriate to have the CEO, president and CEO at the meeting. So I would also like to mention, and I have no problem with it, that we do pay taxes of $34,710 on the building that we have in Kingstown Road. And we're very happy with the arrangement, and we hope we can continue, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
What other organizations did you merge with?
Just one, Tri-Town Community Action. And Tri-Town actually serves 6 towns, North Providence, Johnston, Smithfield, and in 1970 we went to Burrillville, and in the early 70s, North Smithfield and Gloucester. But we do work in, actually we do work sometimes in statewide with some of our grants. VOCA, which is Victims of Crime. So we're kind of all over the state, but that's really our nature. But that Tri-Town had a budget of about 15 million, and I think our budget at South County was about 7 million. The South County Community Action was one of the smaller community action agencies, and this whole concept of merging is not new. Other community action agencies have merged years ago, and Woonsocket is recently merged with Northern Rhode Island Community Mental Health. East Bay Community Action that merged with New Visions for Newport Community Action did that about 15 years ago. Now they just took over the East Bay Community Mental Health Centers. So what we're seeing here in terms of agencies our size is there's a big movement towards trying to consolidate, and I think it really comes down to saving money, because we all know that we are threatened with our budget, particularly in this administration. So we know clearly that no community can make up for whatever cuts are due to us, but we really just need the support from the towns, because many of our grants, in particular Head Start, does require an in-kind match, and I need to match the federal grant with 25% from local monies or local in-kind. So it's very important money. And also, I know that because of this application, people like to see what we do in other communities. And in the town of Johnston, I get $35,000, and I have 4 buildings, probably equaling around $3 million that I'm not taxed on. North Kingstown recently gives me $18,000 and doesn't charge me tax on a $900,000 building. North Providence gives me $40,000, and I have 4 buildings in that community, and we pay no taxes on that community. So I'm not complaining about paying taxes, but I just want to give you an outline as to where we are in the other larger communities of your size.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kate, is Kate here? Yes. Johnny Cake Center.
Good evening, and thank you all for the opportunity to speak. My name is Kate Brewster. I'm the Executive Director of the Johnny Cake Center of Peacedale, and I'm not going to bore you with the details of the organization because you've all been there many times and volunteered with us, and I thank you for that. You should be receiving a postcard in the mail from us soon, kind of summarizing the services that we provided this past year, and if you haven't received it, I'll just share with you a few highlights. The first is that we distributed 280,000 pounds of food through our food programs this past year, and that included 75,000 pounds of produce. We are trying to put healthy food on the shelves and for our visitors, and this was quite a big jump from the year before. We had over 2,000 people who came to us for services, and that included 400 folks who came for the very first time. That was about double the number of new people that we had seen in the prior year. We doubled the number of seniors that we are delivering to in the community who are homebound, and we distributed more than 20,000 school vacation meals in 2016. That was a 35% increase from the year before. That program actually cost us about $30,000 in funds. We purchase a lot of the food that we provide to those families through outside wholesalers. We don't get a lot of that through the Rhode Island Community Food Bank, and we're very happy to do that. Certainly funding from the town helps support that initiative. Most of the kids that we're serving are South Kingstown school children. So we're very happy for the support we've received. We appreciate the opportunity to apply again. I'll also just mention that we've started some other initiatives at the center, really trying to help our families move on a path towards economic security. We're working with some of them to provide one-on-one coaching, to help them set and achieve some goals so they don't have to come to the food pantry. And we're also providing a small amount of financial assistance to those who are finding themselves behind in their rent or in need of funds to prevent a utility shutoff. So some new things we're doing. We've increased the volume this past year, and again, we're very grateful for the town, the support you all provide, and man hours and funding. So thank you.
Next, we have Gateway Healthcare, South Shore Center, David Boscia.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. My name is David Borscher. I am the Community Outreach Program Manager at South Shore Center. Gateway Healthcare's mission is to provide resiliency and assist people in their recovery. Gateway believes that behavioral health care services help individuals and families improve their coping skills and strengthens in dealing with acute or long-term mental health and/or substance abuse problems. Our goals are to support clients' independence and interdependence by helping them minimize their symptoms, improve their self-sufficiency, and improve their communications and relationship skills. Gateway is committed to the philosophy of least restrictive care and to the collaboration of its services with other caregivers, including primary care providers, school and educational facilities, inpatient settings, and other social and human service providers. We seek to support, through the implementation of the principles of recovery, our clients in their efforts to achieve their full potential in an environment that gives them the highest degree of independence while providing for their safety and the safety of the community. Gateway has organized its services so that individuals with co-occurring substance abuse and mental health disorders receive treatment in the most integrated manner possible. In addition, evidence-based practice guidelines are consistently being adopted throughout all service levels of the organization. It is the goal of Gateway that all staff providing treatment services to individuals with mental health and/or substance abuse disorders have knowledge, skills, and qualifications to provide these services. South Shore Center, a division of Gateway Healthcare covering all Washington County, services people suffering from various emotional and mental health disorders, as well as those who abuse substances. Children, adolescents, adults, and people in need of geriatric mental health assessments comprise our population. Gateway Healthcare South Shore Center is the only licensed community mental health center in Washington County, prepared to provide mobile crisis services, specialized community-based outreach, and residential behavioral health services on a 24-hour, 7-day basis. South Shore Center, accredited by the Joint Commission, provides a broad range of comprehensive community mental health and vocational services not offered by any other agency in the community, and is designed to assist and treat individuals with complex needs with severe behavioral health illnesses which are unable to be adequately addressed by traditional treatment programs and services. Town contributions are used to support the clinical staffing needed to maintain Gateway's South Shore outpatient care programs. Gateway's ability to sustainably care for the significant number of under and uninsured individuals in the community we serve is contingent upon financial support from the city and town governments where clients reside. Over the past 12 months, Gateway clinicians and staff provided 453 residents of South Kingston with 6,289 care visits, regardless of their abilities to pay for the treatment. Thank you. Does anybody have questions?
You say your care visits are patients coming to you, or
Both. People come into South Shore Center and our Charlestown office, or us going out in the community to service them.
Okay, next we have Kane Child Development Center, Lisa DiCarlo, I'm sorry.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm Lisa DiCarlo. I'm the Executive Director for Kane Child Development Center. Thank you for having me tonight, and you have funded us in the previous years, which we appreciate. I came to Kane probably about 4.5 years ago, and with your help, we were able to put an infant room in our facility. We now service 6 weeks to 5-year-olds. We are a nonprofit organization, so we do have our obstacles and struggles just like everybody else. We don't get too much funding anymore. We deal with a lot of families who are either low income or dealing with, DHS and DCYF, and as you see on the news, it's been a very big obstacle with everything going on. I'm usually there once a week. So anything that we do get, it's usually me fighting for it as far as grants and stuff like that. We're looking to maybe do some new things in our classrooms. The building is over 30-something years old. Kane, that's now in back of the adult daycare, is at least 35 plus. So for us to keep a healthy and safe environment, we have to make sure that, the floors are safe and we have some tiles coming up, the roof is safe, and, plus we always want to keep up with equipment that's developmentally appropriate for the children. I'm just going to keep it short and sweet, so I don't know if you have any questions or anything. Good. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Next, Welcome House is Joe. Okay.
First of all, thank you for having me this evening. There's basically 5 components to Welcome House. We have the 17-bed shelter. We have the winter shelter that runs from November 1 to March 31st. We have the soup kitchen. We have transitional housing, permanent housing, and we have our housing navigator. We served 101 people last year, went through the shelter at 8 North Road. 66 out of 86 who left for permanent or transitional housing. That's 75%. I think that's pretty good. Not the best, but 3 out of 4 is pretty good. We have a soup kitchen. We serve on average about 20 people a day. We have 30 units of transitional and permanent housing, which we have been renovating as they turn over, and you can see some of those slides on our website. The winter shelter 2 years ago served 16 people. Last year served 63. This year through February, we served 92. 2 years ago, we served 1 woman in the winter shelter. This year, we've served 20 so far. So you can see that there is a need growing, as I see it, among the women in the area. 1 out of 5 people who we serve at Welcome House are South Kingstown residents. I want to talk a couple of personal stories. Around Christmas time, we helped a family. We got a call from the elementary principal at Peacedale that there was a single mom and 2 children who were living in ill-housed conditions, about to become homeless. We renovated an apartment complete with a Christmas tree for Christmas. We just moved in another single mom with 2 young children and a teenage daughter, and a third that is being reunited with her son through DCYF. Our housing navigator has helped 4 families from the area. One of them, fisherman by trade, who has the care of his 2 teenage children, were able to move in an apartment. So we're not only, I know we're known for helping single adults, but we have more and more in the past year, particularly the last 6 months, been helping families through the Housing Navigator and through our own initiatives, which we see, we get a lot of calls. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Johnny Cake was involved in that situation with the family around Christmas time. I don't want Kate throwing things at me from the... And I'll stop there. Let me just say, the money last year, we put it to good use. We have 4 full-time staff that do what we do. We have 2 part-time people that work in the winter shelter. And all hands on deck, myself included, when direct care services are needed. So, any questions?
Do you have any specific goals for this coming year? Anything that you want to accomplish with the extra request for funds?
Lots, because the need is growing. One of the things that we've talked about, and I think we will do, which is in the planning stage, is about to take off. We want to, on the first floor, create what we're calling a welcome center. So even after the winter shelter is closed, people who might then go back out to Old Mountain Field or the bike path or some of the local campgrounds can come into the Welcome House and receive housing navigating services. We're going to be applying to the Consolidated Homeless Fund for outreach support, for rapid rehousing money. We are looking to purchase a building that would house women to help address this situation of what we've seen as an uptick in women requiring services. So we have some ambitious plans, and every penny counts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Kristen, Domestic Violence Resource Center.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Muse, and I'm the Director of Development at the Domestic Violence Resource Center. DVR-CSC is the only agency in Washington County that provides comprehensive services to victims of domestic violence. And last fiscal year, we're very proud of the fact that we served 1,147 clients in our 4 core programs, which include court, residential, clinical, and our helpline. And 14% of those clients were from South Kingstown. Most of our clients have incomes of less than $10,000. And we rely on the generosity of cities and towns we serve to provide continued support, because all of our services are provided at no charge to the clients, and that's regardless of income. So our people are our program, and our program are our people. So oftentimes we're asked why our personnel line item is so high in our budget, and that's the reason. All of our services are provided at no cost to the client. And to that end, we invest heavily in our volunteer staff, because the program that we request funding for through South Kingstown is our helpline, and our helpline is staffed almost entirely by volunteers. So the money that we receive from the town goes into our paid staff that train our volunteers, who really are our first line. We call them our first responders. They're often the first voice that a victim hears when he or she is ready to come forward and seek services. So to that end, we really do invest heavily in our volunteers, because without them, we couldn't provide the services that we provide. Last year, we received nearly 1,200 calls to our helpline, which is more than 3 calls a day. And our helpline is about a $40,000 budget. So, any questions? Thank you.
we have the Education Exchange.
I'll give you my last name. It's Terechkova. Nobody tries it. So my name is Ruth Terechkova, and I'm the new Student Services Coordinator for the Education Exchange. Cam Ennis, our Executive Director, would normally be here, but he's in Washington working with local business leaders in the aquaculture industry, advocating for that industry. As you know, because you are strategic partners with our new aquaculture training program, where the Education Exchange is very proud of the way that it collaborates with other local nonprofits as well as employers to provide educational and training opportunities that meet the needs of unemployed and underemployed adults within our community. In South County, of the 450 people that we serviced in to the end of our fiscal year of June 30th, 2016, 26% were from South County. We have our main location here in Peacedale, as well as Hope Valley. We have a satellite area westerly, as well as North Kingstown. And we provide programs such as the GED program, English as a Second Language, teacher assistant certification and testing. Let me look what else. I've been in the job for about 6 weeks, so you have to excuse me as I look. Transitions to college, safe serve certifications such as kitchen manager, food handling, and alcohol safe serve. Digital literacy such as QuickBooks and Microsoft Office certification. So of the 450 individuals that we served last fiscal year, 74% of them, when they come in, everybody is tested to see what their reading and math levels are, and 74% of the people that joined our program had literacy levels at or below the 9th grade level, and 64% were unemployed. So we never turn away anybody based on age, academic ability, or language barriers. We help everybody that we can come through the door, and if we're not able to provide a service, we make sure that we negotiate with one of the other local community organizations that's more appropriate for that person and their needs. We strive to empower a diverse group of learners to achieve their academic success and to enhance their lives and the lives of their families. With the funds that we've requested from South Kingstown Town Council, we hope to continue program development, provide student tuition scholarships, pay part of our GED teachers' salaries, and keep our classrooms, keep up-to-date materials in our classrooms. So once again, I thank you for the opportunity to speak and for your past and continuing support. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, would you mind sitting at the table, if that's okay? Thank you.
Are you Joe?
I am, thank you. I see the red light is on. Thank you so much for your time, and I must say that very inspired by all of the work of all of your agencies. It really gives me great honor to be a part of trying to strengthen the lives of Rhode Islanders. I am the Director of Philanthropy for Hope Hospice and Palliative Care. Our corporate headquarters is located in Rhode Island, and we have a satellite office here in Wakefield. Our mission is, with deep compassion and skill, we care for people living with serious illness, those that are dying, and all that care for them. We have an inpatient unit in Providence that cares for people who either live in unsafe living circumstances, have pain that ultimately can't be managed by lay people, or don't have anyone to care for them. We also partner with many community agencies throughout the state. We service the entire state to care for people in assisted living facilities, hospitals, and primarily at home. So our average daily census in Rhode Island are 500 people who are experiencing our hospice services. In addition, we have a palliative care program which deals with people who are experiencing serious pain in their lives. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're terminally ill. It just means that they are seriously ill. Our philanthropic efforts ultimately support our community mission. That community mission is all volunteer services. So we have volunteers who sit with patients who don't have anyone, volunteers who help with our veterans program. We have pet therapy program. All the dogs and their owners are volunteers. Reiki volunteers as well. And so, ultimately, in terms of the number of people we cared for last year in South Kingstown, we served 250 people, which is about 6 to 7% of the state's population that we cared for. All of our bereavement services, which are also supported by philanthropic dollars, are free to everyone. And the third category of what our philanthropy dollars fund is subsidized charity care, so those that are under or uninsured. So we care for people regardless of their ability to pay. And so that's a brief synopsis of what we do. Does anyone have any questions?
You mentioned that you have a facility elsewhere in the state that people can stay.
Yes, it's North Main Street in Providence. It's a 22-bed facility. And most of, the direct care is reimbursed through third-party entities. But ultimately, these additional things that we believe strengthen individuals and ultimately strengthen Rhode Islanders are not part of any reimbursement.
Right. And the 22-bed facility, how often are you near capacity?
It really depends. It's pretty cyclical. There are times in which there are waiting lists, and then there are other times where one of the 2 floors is fully occupied. So it's really hard to really forecast ultimately.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joe, you did a great job selling yourself, but just to give you another plug, I've had some experiences with both hospice care in-home and at the 22-bed facility in Providence, and that facility is stunning, and I can't say enough good things about not only the staff, but the volunteers that you were referencing. I mean, I saw everything from Buddhist monks coming in to sing, to someone coming in and played the violin. I mean, it really is remarkable what you guys do, and your staff is exceptional. It's just, I don't think you can put a number on the services that are offered to people in that stage in their life, so I appreciate your work.
Of course, thank you.
One quick thing. I was actually floored by the 500 daily census, but that includes people that you're taking care of in their homes as well?
Yes, yeah. And that's solely hospice. And so now what we're seeing is a growing trend in palliative care needs for people who just have serious illness and have a really hard time managing day-to-day pain. So it's a pretty comprehensive, holistic way of trying to treat pain. So it's not just providing medication. It's really looking at a holistic approach to.
Do you have any beds here in South Kingstown, or?
We don't.
Okay.
No, other than our partnership with South County Health, and then I'm sure assisted living facilities as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joe, hold on 1 second. Sorry, you keep getting up to go. You've requested to double the funding that we gave you, it looks like. So what is that new funding?
Yeah, so the funding goes to support anyone from South Kingstown that ultimately needs subsidized or charity care. So the way it works in our organization is that those funds are restricted and only released when someone meets that criteria. But on average, our office we generally raise anywhere between $1.5 and $2 million. So, any kind of support, obviously, helping people in that area. And so that funding request means that we utilized the funding last year prematurely, and so the need existed.
Thank you. I did see Judy here. If you want to go to the table or the podium, whatever you're more comfortable with.
Good evening. I'm Judy Fortier. I'm the Director of Development for Easter Seals, Rhode Island. Easter Seals' vision is to change the way the world defines and views disability by making profound positive differences in people's lives every day. In Rhode Island, we provide early intervention support, let me take my glasses off, to over 460 families in this past year alone. Early intervention is therapeutic support for children that either have a developmental delay or have been diagnosed with a condition that will be known to impact development. Specifically, early intervention only works with children from birth to 3 years old. 16% of our kids come from South Kingstown. The only other group community that has a little bit more support in terms of constituency is Westerly. We are based right here in Wakefield. We have grown, our caseload has grown by 15% every year for the past 3 or 4 years. We continue to see that trend. Several early intervention programs have closed due to cuts and the decrease in revenue and the cost of providing care. So Hasbro Children's Hospital no longer provides early intervention, which is shocking. Neither does a couple of the other groups in Jamestown and in the island. So we have picked up that caseload. One of the challenges this year will be that the state will no longer reimburse us for providing groups to families. And the rationale is that early intervention in general has a home-based dynamic, which is true. We go to families' houses, or we go to grandma's house, or we go to the daycares, or wherever the child happens to be. Sometimes people will come to our organization, but we do see the benefit of group therapy. Our feeding groups, our speech and language groups, our beach group, our farm group, all develop and deliver services under the guise of play. So it is our philosophy that we need to continue to provide the group therapy for families. Not only does it provide therapy for the children, but it gives families a chance to come together and discuss the issues that families have when they have children with special needs and disabilities. The town has been incredibly generous, specifically for kids with special needs. We couldn't do it without you. Do you have any questions?
Judy, is the increase in funding a direct result of that groups program?
It's part of it's that, and also part of it's the fact that we're growing. Our caseload grows by 15%, so we've consistently seen this in the last 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Should other early intervention programs close, we will take those families, but we will also bear the cost and the expense associated with providing support. We don't give minimal support. We're either all in, and we'll take on the challenges with those expenses. We don't believe in giving support up to what the state will pay.
Well, Judy, you know I've had some personal experience with Easter Seals, and it is just wonderful what you guys do, and I'm so sad to hear about the cut in the funding for the groups program. I mean, that just...
You know, it's a
no-brainer.
philosophical difference. It's also a way for the department that is mandated for it to save some money, which is it's the way it is right now. The other thing I just wanted to tell you is we did change our logos. I'm going to leave you, it's brand new, and we'll leave you a copy of our new stuff.
Thank you. And over the years, I have to say I've been to your facility several times, and I do like the fact that I see and hear about you in the community. You are always typically, as a group, trying to raise money and to help support your programs in other ways as well. I think you do a fantastic job.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay. Washington County Coalition for Children. Is Susan here?
Hello, everyone. I'm Susan Orban. I'm the coordinator of the Washington County Coalition for Children. And for those of you who may not know about us, we're the region's child advocacy organization. Our mission is to serve as catalyst and facilitator for improved services for children and families. What a lot of people in our state think about South County is that we are rolling in resources. And that there are no problems in South County because it's such a beautiful, pristine place to live. And yet, children and families face challenges just like they do in other places, and we don't necessarily have the same level of resources. And so that was the foundation of what led to the formation of the coalition. It really started to begin to look at the data about our kids and identify needs and then foster collaboration to fill some of those needs. And we've been doing it and doing it effectively for 15 years. And some of the issues that we've taken on have been some of the issues that are really hard for any one organization to tackle alone. We've taken on issues like children's mental health. I think one of our biggest successes has been collaborating with all 7 school districts in Washington County, the South Kingstown Police Department, and Gateway Healthcare in rolling out youth mental health first aid training for youth-serving adults. We've trained over 500 youth-serving adults in Washington County to build that safety net for our kids. For those of you that aren't familiar with youth mental health first aid, it's an evidence-based program like CPR that teaches people the signs and symptoms of mental health disorders and what to do, and who to refer them to, how to connect them with treatment. Another important issue that we've taken on is bullying. So we organized Chalk It Up Against Bullying, which I hope everyone is familiar with. This year we rolled it out in 4 towns across Washington County, but that's just probably the most visible project that we do about bullying. We have been working with schools to implement evidence-based bullying programs. We've instituted bullying prevention reading lists that are being distributed by our libraries and implemented in summer reading programs in schools. We also do a lot of work around emotional literacy, and we are rolling out for the 10th year our Feeling Groovy project, which involves second graders, teaching them about feelings and inviting them to create a bookmark that then gets distributed in local libraries. You may have seen some of those out and about. And our latest project is a project we're doing in conjunction with the University of Rhode Island. It's called 8 for 80, and it's about promoting 8 key mental health competencies in young children, ages 0 to 8, that hopefully will last for 80 years or more. And it's a really project that is geared towards primary prevention. I think what most people don't realize is the importance of mental health in our community. I was stunned when I learned that we're #1 in suicide in our state. Our county ranks #1 for suicides. We're also #1 in binge drinking across all age groups in Washington County. And so our children are growing up in swimming in this environment, and it's really needs to be a priority. We're also a mental health shortage area in Washington County. So this work that we're doing in collaboration with our partners couldn't be more important. So your help in giving us funding, really helps support these advocacy efforts, and it helps provide the local match for a lot of the grants that we get. We ask towns to support us in a small way to do some of that work, and so I can't thank you enough for that support in the past.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have one agency that has not received funding in the past, Neighbors Helping Neighbors. It's the bottom of the sheet, Meg.
Okay. Is there anybody here to speak? Is Mary? For Neighbors Helping Neighbors? Yes.
Wait. Mary, go ahead.
You can sit at the table if it's more comfortable for you, absolutely.
I was caught practicing French for my French class. My name is Mary Gail Smith, and I'm a volunteer with Neighbors Helping Neighbors Rhode Island. And our mission is to keep South County families in their homes by offering free home repairs to anyone who needs them. And we feel that this is one of the ways that we are battling the homelessness issue in South County. Our projects vary depending upon the need. We do anything from a small job of $200 worth of paint to a big job that might cost $4,000 because we're doing a roof, and that's the cost of the materials for the roof. And I want to emphasize that everything in our organization is done by volunteers. We have no paid staff at all. It has been my pleasure to work on some of these projects. And I have to confess that, I'm not necessarily the one doing this, but, it's really nice to be the one who is meeting with the homeowner and being an interface in that way. We did 30 projects last year, and 8 of them were in South Kingstown. So that I did the math, and that's about 26% of our projects were done for South Kingstown residents. And the money that we're requesting is to buy building materials for projects for South Kingstown families. I don't know if you have any questions, since this is our first time through.
Could you tell us a little bit about your history in terms of how long you've been?
Yes, Neighbors Helping Neighbors Rhode Island was founded in 2014, Bryant, as a response to an unmet need. And it started out with a church group in Charlestown, and then we just discovered that the need was more than this small church group could do. So we became a 501c3 organization, and we receive the bulk of our money from private donations, and we are asking some of the local communities for their support as well. And our clients include single parents, seniors, seasonal workers when there is no work, and we've had a lot of requests from returning veterans. We have a backlog of 30 projects that we cannot do until we receive more funding.
I would like to make a suggestion, and I don't know if it's appropriate, but I will throw it out there anyway. The South Kingstown Elks Lodge 1899 right up the street has what they call the home wrap program, and they do exactly what you're saying you do. It would be probably maybe nice if you could, get in contact with Ken Kennerson and see how you can work together, because it's all in the South County community that they do exactly what you do. So it might be a nice idea that you could do something in conjunction with each other.
Well, we're on the exact same page, because a couple of years ago, the Elks came to Neighbors Helping Neighbors and asked how to start a program of their own. So we helped them.
Now they have one.
I know, isn't it wonderful? So we multiplied ourselves, and we helped them secure a grant for $10,000 to get their program started, and we provided some training. And I was just at the senior center today, and I saw their great big sign in the lobby offering their services, and they've grown. Margaret, they've gone from just doing like lawn mowing to more of the home repairs. So we just are so delighted to have this.
Yeah, they just received another $10,000 grant. Actually, this is year number 3, so they continue to get it from Elks International. They're doing a lot for handicapped individuals and building handicap ramps.
Well, I have to say, we trained them on that as well.
Well, you're so good, then
No,
they
and
must love
well,
you.
You know, when you've got something that's working and making a difference in the community and someone wants to expand it, you know, it's really good to share. And I have to say, one of the highlights of my experience with Neighbors Helping Neighbors was the lady in, well, she was in Charlestown, but we did a handicap ramp for her. And, you know, she came out after it was completed and using her walker. And she said, I can't believe you did this work and you don't even know who I am. And, you know, that's the joy of helping. So, anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Steve, would you like me to move on to the outside agencies at this time, or?
Yes, I was going to, you've got three funding areas that do not have representatives tonight. One's the League of Cities and Towns. Obviously, I think the council's familiar with the league. It provides a great deal of the lobby services on behalf of the cities and towns at the General Assembly level. It also works with other organizations to be able to deal with best management practices in municipal operations. The other two are the dollars that the council sets aside on an annual basis for the 3 parades. And the last is the $3,600 donation that goes to the Union Fire District and Kingston Fire District, to each of the 9 companies that make up those 2 districts, to be able to provide them with a $400 a year contribution to each company. Those 3 are not agencies that we would have before you this evening. Certainly all the others are. And if you want to go through those at this time, I think it would be appropriate.
Before we move on, can I just say thank you to all the human services agencies that came. I know your time is precious and you do great work for our community. And you all stayed through each other's presentations, which you had no obligation to do. So thank you for sitting through all that. And you know, I think what makes a community great is how we treat our sort of less fortunate, and what makes South Kingstown great is largely thanks to you. So
We certainly
thank you.
appreciate everything all of you do. We really do.
Thank you.
Okay. If seeing nobody here from the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns, we've actually talked about this for quite so many years. Steve's very familiar with it too. Let's move on to the Southern Rhode Island Chamber. I know Liz is here. If you want to come up, I mean, more comfortable here or there, whatever's easier for you.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Berman, and I'm the Executive Director of the Southern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for having us here tonight, and thank you to the town for the continued support that we have received from you year after year. Our mission at the Chamber is to support and enhance the business community of Southern Rhode Island and to create opportunities for the growth and development of our member businesses. Now, we do that in a number of different ways. We do offer 4 different networking events each and every month, all catering to a specific group. Our young professionals group has grown to be one of the best in the state, which I'm sorry, Meg, I am. But
you can still go.
I gotta say, I hear that every time I bring up the Young Professionals Group. But we are teaching our young professionals to network and to get out there and be more comfortable presenting themselves. So we have their students involved as well. So that's been really wonderful to watch that grow. We've also really expanded our continuing education for business owners. Most recently, we put on a seminar that highlighted funding options that are available for small business owners that are normally turned down by traditional lending institutions, so by banks, which most small business owners get turned down by banks. So we were able to lay out a variety of different funding options for those small business owners, which is wonderful. Those are things we're always looking to do. We've also really expanded our social media classes and those types of things to, again, continually educate our business owners here. We also have a very new project, which is called the Business Behind the Business, in which we are taking established business owners from the area and having them teach through lessons learned to some of our younger business owners, showing them that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, it does get hard, but you can push through it, and these are the ways that I did, and those types of stories. So really education through storytelling and those types of things. So we're very, very excited about that, and the first one kicks off tomorrow night. But I know you all are very familiar with the Chamber, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Liz, how many members do you have in South Kingstown?
Roughly 58% of our membership comes from South Kingstown. So we have, as of this morning when I looked, 567 members. That percentage just fluctuates slightly from members joining, members dropping, and those types of things. But when I did request the funding from you, we were at 58% from South Kingstown. Since I have been the director, we have always been over 50% of our member businesses coming from South Kingstown.
Well, I love that chamber.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You do a great job, Liz.
Thank you, Meg.
Thank you. Okay, the 3 parades. I don't believe that any. What's that?
There's no one here.
Yes, I know. Washington County Regional Planning Council. Is Jeff here? Oh, yes, he is. Sit either here or there, wherever you're more comfortable.
If you're okay with this, I've been sitting in it all day. I'm just happy to stand for a few moments. Thank you. I'm here for the Washington County Regional Planning Council. My name, for the record, is Jeff Broadhead, Executive Director. We've been going for about 15 years. I've been there for more than half of that. I'm not quite sure how that happened. The Planning Council is a different organization. Rather than a steady stream of business coming in like most of the human service agencies that you've seen before, we usually do one large project at a time that's often a multi-year project. The projects are defined by the communities who are the members. So the board of the Planning Council is one elected town councilor from each one of the towns, and Abel Collins is our current representative from South Kingstown. This year we have the largest turnover I've seen because of several people just didn't get elected in their towns, and so there's been no meetings since the election. The final town to select a rep will be Charlestown next week, and we will have a meeting the week after. But I couldn't have a meeting until we had reps from everybody. Richmond and Charlestown seemed to take a while. I really appreciate South Kingstown making a decision early. At that point, I thought everyone would. The kinds of projects we've done have really varied. Some of them have been purely fiscal, like the revamping the real estate conveyance tax, which enables towns like South Kingstown to receive quite a bit of money. Some of them have been working with the police reserve to help some of our beach communities just basically function better in the summer. Some of them have had to do with energy, and we did studies in 146 buildings across South County, and we did physical improvements in 82 of those buildings. You don't think there's that many public buildings in our 8 towns of South County, but there are. And then a few years ago, as an outgrowth of the efficiency project, we started on a streetlights reform program, which at first we thought was just an outgrowth of energy efficiency. And it turned out, because of the opposition from National Grid, that we had to make it a reform program and start with legislation, which passed, and then a couple of years of the Public Utilities Commission. So it's really been the Planning Council's sole job for several years. But what's come out of that is really interesting. We're saving towns on an average 72% of what their current bill is. So if their bill's $100, their bill is now $28. I mean, it's an enormous savings. Providence is saving $160,000 a month right now. A town about the same size as South Kingstown, and that's North Smithfield, is saving $10,280 a month. That's a significant amount of money that's created. So the small amount of dues that we ask you to pay really will pay back in time. There's other towns, I mean really small towns like Richmond are saving $1,000 a month. So right now the towns that are active on maintenance are saving over $2.5 million a month because of our work. We subcontract out the maintenance services. We purchase LEDs and convert to LEDs, but the savings I gave you is solely on maintenance. It does not include the LED conversion. Those are savings on top of that. As a result of the size of the streetlight program, it was last year the board decided to spin it off as a separate nonprofit. So what's forming now is what's happened to the Planning Council about every 3 years in its time, is where the board will stop, look at itself and say, what do we want to do next? And so that's the opportunity that Abel and his colleagues on the board at our March and our April meetings will be able to do. So with that, we think we do a lot. We have a very small staff. It's often half a person. Right now it's one person. It's been as high as 1.6 people. So we try to stretch the dollars. We do very low administrative overhead. All the money that we get goes into projects. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Hearing none? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. Next, we have Heidi. I know she's here for the Partnership for Prevention. Wherever you're comfortable.
Good evening. My name is Heidi Driscoll. I'm from the South Kingstown Partnership for Prevention. I am the coordinator. I want to thank you very much for your support and your continued support. The money that we get from the town is really vital for us. We currently only have federal funds that we're using for substance abuse prevention throughout the district in South Kingstown. So number one, to be able to use town funds, since we don't have state funds, for some type of match for our grants is vital. Also to have unrestricted funds is also vital for some of our programs. We currently, through our Drug-Free Communities work, our two main objectives with that is prescription medications that we're looking at, and also marijuana in Rhode Island and in South Kingstown. Basically, that doesn't, because of those two specific strategies that were written into that grant, that doesn't leave us a lot of money for alcohol prevention. So we do a lot of work in alcohol prevention with the town match money. So I just wanted to give you a couple examples really quick so that you can see exactly what your dollars are going for. We do a lot of student-led, substance-free activities, after school and evening activities that we do. We hear from our students the biggest complaint is that there is nothing to do around town. And subsequently, with boredom comes, risky behavior. So we are trying very hard to do an event a quarter that our Youth Coalition has been sponsoring. We did a cookie exchange, cookie competition in the at Christmas. We just finished a guided painting night that we had almost 25 students attend. We had about 40 students attend the cookie exchange at Christmas. We also co-sponsored a student-led conference back in November. It was called Elect to Be Real. We had almost 170 students from around the state participate in this conference, and that was specifically with dollars that we are using. So it's really vital for us, and we thank you so much for your support. Anything I can answer for you or questions?
I was very impressed to go to the high school for the panel discussion on the opioid addiction. That was very enlightening for me as a parent. My children are older now, but I was amazed how much I learned. It was an incredible seminar, and for the people that were there, that was enlightening. It really was.
We're really dealing with an epidemic right now in Rhode Island throughout the country, and every bit of prevention that we can do helps, so thank you.
I really like the program that I think you got a grant for, to give local pharmacies those bags with the locks on them. Thought that was really great. And I like that it shows the initiative that you guys are, looking at every funding source available and finding, a need and fulfilling it. And like Meg said, I mean, I think the opioid epidemic, there more information we can get out there about prevention and how to kind of curb that in high school is just so vital, and it's so sad to see what's happening. So we actually talked in our goals and objectives a few work sessions ago about how important we felt that was, and I just look forward to seeing you continue to grow on that.
Thank you, and we're trying. So that is our Count It, Lock It, Drop It program, and we're actually just chatted with the YMCA today, and we're doing some partnering with them. They're one of our strategic partners, so hopefully you'll see some more advertising and more work around town with it. So thank you.
You do a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I appreciate your support.
Okay. I did see Lance here, but I know that if there's nobody to speak for the Union Fire District, we'll move on. And we'll go to Kenny Tetzner, Wakefield Village Association.
Does Lance want to speak?
I don't know. Lance, did you want to come up and speak?
Oh, come on, Lance, we're not that scary.
Try not to be anyway.
How you guys doing? Try not to yell into this thing like I usually do. So my name is Ken Tesser. I'm the president of the Wakefield Village Association. Just give you a brief description of what we're all about. We're made up of businesses, nonprofits, and a few citizens of the downtown and surrounding areas. We're strictly volunteers. We have no paid employees. What our goal is we're dedicated to building and beautifying a vibrant downtown community. We do this by hosting free family events for our community and by helping clean up and decorate our downtown. In the past year, we have hosted several free family events downtown. I'm sure you guys are all, I've seen you at a lot of them, but Thursday nights, with help from the council last year, and thank you again, we were able to get some new River Fire baskets. So every Thursday night, we have a River Fire downtown. We have live music in the Seri Sanctuary, and we have some artisans, local artisans up along the street. And it's nice. We draw a crowd of people from the community, and it's just a great event. We also, at that event, ask people to bring non-perishable food items. And last year, we were able to raise 954 pounds of non-perishable items for the local Peacedale Johnny Cake Center, which was a nice thing as well. We also did the Oktoberfest, which was a huge event. It was our first time doing it. A lot of work was put into it. Like I said, we're all volunteers. We're all small business owners, so it's not an easy task, but we get it done. That had a great turnout, even though the weather didn't cooperate completely. We had live music. We hooked up with the local brewery. We had food. We had the Oktoberfest theme. We had vendors. I mean, it was just a great time. We shut down the road for a little while, but we still had, what we think, we didn't go around counting people, but 1,000 people come out even on not such a nice day. And we also did a river fire that night too. But we got great feedback from the community through Facebook and just running into people. It seems like the WVA is really getting branded and out there in the community, and people really appreciate all the things that we're doing. Another thing that we do the Halloween stroll parade right around Halloween. And the kids and some parents dress up. And what we do is they go store to store, and we have free trick-or-treating for all the kids, which is a safe community event. But that's grown. I mean, it started at the entrance to the pedestrian bridge, and by the time the first person got back to that bridge and did the loop, the last person was leaving. So we were amazed at the turnout and how much that's grown in the last few years. Another event that we did was the Winter Wonderland. That was the first time, again, that we did that this year. We got a trolley involved, and we went up and down the street, and that was another great event to get back to the community. All these events are free, even though they do cost, and there's a budget for us to put these on. We also the decorative poles, which you guys know, we put up all the lights in the trees, and we decorate not only for Christmas time and around that time, but every event that we do, we always make sure that downtown looks great. We clean it up, we put the effort in, we get the necessary needs, and we go out and we decorate for the theme, be it Oktoberfest or Halloween, which again all comes at a cost. I know you guys are nice enough. Last year we got an extra $5,000 for the baskets. This year we did up the ante a little, and we're asking for some more money, but we're growing and we're not quite there yet, so we're still having growing pains. And the only money that we really got last year, because these aren't proven events, so we can't really get the sponsorship money right away, because people are like, with Oktoberfest, prove it. I've never seen it. So it's tough to go up to somebody and say, hey, can you help sponsor this, when they don't really know what the product is. So we've kind of proven ourselves. We feel like we can get some of that sponsorship money this year from fellow community businesses to help do this, but it's still not going to be enough. And again, we all have jobs, and we're volunteering, and we're trying to go out, so it takes time, and we do the best we can, but that's basically what we're all about, and that's why we're asking.
Kenny, can you tell me, give us an idea of how much those lights cost in the trees and on the lamp poles and all that?
All said and done, installed, which I found out is a great deal, is anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000.
Do that every year.
And we have to do that every year. The lights don't last. I called the company because it's just a lot of work to do it, to see how much it would cost. I forget the name of the company, but it was upwards of $20,000. So I hung up the phone really quick. I was like, okay, nice talking to you.
And not to sell yourself short, Kenny, I think you devote countless hours to the WVA, so much so that sometimes I can't tell the difference between a business owner and someone who's solely involved with this. I mean, you really put 110% in. And
thanks, appreciate that.
I think I ate 3 meals a day there for like a month, so
I appreciate that, and you help out a lot as well, and I appreciate that.
I think the community owes you a debt of gratitude for all this work.
Thank you. Any questions? No? All right, appreciate it, thanks.
Thank you, Ken. Next on the list is Peacedale Neighborhood Revitalization. Is anybody here to represent? Okay, we'll move on. Southern Rhode Island Volunteers, Deb Tanner.
Good evening. So we all have in common very late hours. Thank you for your support. We really appreciate it. And it's been a partnership for years. Southern Rhode Island Volunteers actually started 36 years ago as Seniors Helping Others. Originally, the office was up by URI, and then when our beautiful senior center was built, there was space dedicated to SRIV in that space. We occupy a small office in that space, and then we occupy a larger office in Charlestown, because our service area is really the entire county And then federally, we receive one grant from the Corporation for National and Community Service. Hopefully that will continue. And they've added East and West Greenwich to us so that we serve a third of the state of Rhode Island at this point. We have 3 programs. One is the volunteer program, and we have to divide it out based on age because the federal grant will only assist with volunteers who are 55 plus. And then we don't say to people who are 25, oh, sorry, you have to wait till you're 55 to volunteer. That's just silly. So with SRIV, you can be 13 years of age and older and volunteer on your own. Children are welcome to come with their families. So we have what we call the RSVP program of Washington County and community volunteers, just so we can be in compliance. Those volunteers are serving at a lot of agencies, including all of my colleagues who left. We have them at all of those different agencies. In addition to that, we have an independent aging program. That's the one that is most near and dear to my heart. We help our seniors. We transport to medical appointments about 600 times a year. Of those, about 300 of them are here in South Kingstown. This is about 58% of the people we help, the seniors we help, are here. The food that Kate mentioned for the seniors that gets delivered from the Johnny Cake Center, it's our volunteers every Friday that go and have the privilege of picking up that food and bringing it to the homebound seniors. We started, excuse me, we started.
Some water.
I do need.
You know what, I haven't even touched this, so please take it. I poured it, but I don't think I even had a sip.
So we deliver the food to about 52 individuals now. 2 years ago, it was only 10. It is growing by leaps and bounds. The Meals on Wheels program, I manage directly out of the senior center, and we deliver to 26 individuals. There are waiting lists for South County now on the Meals on Wheels program, which really has nothing to do with anything but economics because it's a federally subsidized program. So every day, Monday through Friday, we deliver Meals on Wheels, and on Fridays only, we deliver to 10 to 15 different seniors from the Johnny Cake Center to really have a great impact in terms of nutrition for our seniors. In the Johnny Cake program, we also deliver to a couple of families. They have a couple of individuals who are younger, who are disabled, and just cannot get there to get the food. We also provide companionship to about 14 individuals right now in South Kingstown, and that is increasing as the population increases. The 65-plus population in our county between the 2010 census and the 2014 U.S. Survey census that the federal government did grew by 2.9%. In the entire decade between 2000 and 2010, the entire county only grew by about that much, not let alone one population. And in South Kingstown, in 2014, the population of 60 over grew, while the populations of 14 and under and between, I think it was 25 to 59, actually declined in numbers. So we obviously have an aging population, and we're going to face those issues more and more. The main issue we face, we all recognize that transportation is just critical down here. We don't have that infrastructure. Every day, Monday through Friday, we transport 4 people to a doctor's appointment. The criteria for us is that elder person or that disabled adult has to be a resident of Washington County. We'll take them to any doctor anywhere. And one of the issues, one of the challenges is for our veterans who have to go to Providence, to the VA hospital, or to Middletown. There's not a lot of volunteer resource to do that. So right now, I'm the designated driver for that. Like if a veteran needs a ride, I'm the one taking them. And I think that's the least we can do for people who have served our nation. That's just a really critical issue. So the funding we ask of you is to help support that. The other thing we do for the town is, and Steve earlier said he was glad he hadn't seen me this year, is we do a disaster preparedness program. So we're the people who staff the shelter. I'm the shelter manager. I'm the one on site in the high school with the team when we've had the hurricanes and the blizzards and the different things, and we've had to help our citizens who needed to be sheltered through the storms. And yes, I'm very happy we haven't had to see each other this year, because it means very long hours, you know, sleep deprivation and all of that. But, you know, if you need us, we're there, and we'll be there. And our goal is really to provide meaningful volunteer opportunities to coordinate that for everyone and to make a difference and impact lives as positively as we can, and especially for our seniors. I don't have those happy stories that a lot of other agencies have where they're helping people to lift themselves up. I'm just trying to help people age with dignity. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. Narrow River, you're on.
Can I talk here or over there?
Wherever you're most comfortable.
Oh, I'm comfortable right here, thank you. Just let me pass this out. I want to introduce Allison Cates, our coordinator, and she'll have a few words to say while I pass out some paper.
Hi, I'm Allison Cates, new program coordinator for Narrow River Preservation Association. I actually spoke to you at the last meeting because we were getting our road race permit, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks, Richard.
Richard's passing out a chart of our 14 water testing locations, and your funding that you've provided us has really helped us with that over time.
Thank you. My name is Richard Grant, and I just introduced Allison Cates, our new coordinator. And we're here to just tell you a little bit about Narrow River Preservation Association and to talk specifically about Riverwatch. The request is based on a program of sharing the cost with the town of North Kingstown and Narragansett for the NRPA Riverwatch program. Excuse me. The cost of the program is approximately $10,000 per year. Originally, each town granted NRPA $2,700 in a tri-town program. While we are attempting to duplicate that former grant, we are very aware of the tight financial program of the town of South Kingstown. Nationally, clean water is at the top of everyone's agenda, which is evident in the programs that are underway as we speak tonight in South Kingstown and Narragansett. Improvements at Narrow River that are happening at this time are the restoration of the marshes by National Fish and Wildlife. Actually, we sent you a recent video of an aerial video of the completed work. Also, BMPs that are being installed in Narragansett and the outflow study throughout the three towns are evidence of improvements that are happening right now. Some of that work has been based on the data from the Riverwatch program. I have passed out a diagram from one of our past newsletters that shows the 14 permanent sites. What it does not show are the 7 additional sites that National Fish and Wildlife hired NRPA to test for the marsh restoration program. It does not show the potential test site either for an elementary educational program. The 25 years of data from the 14 sites is available online, and of course, that data transfer is part of the cost of NRPA Riverwatch each year. We are pleased to report that 30 citizens perform the duties of the Riverwatch program. Other involvement by citizens are worth noting, such as donations. A lot of residents and friends of NRPA recognize the volunteer effort of the Board of Directors, each assigned to a project or two. While not being able to volunteer, those people donate money in the form of membership to run, for example, programs such as the $1,000 College Scholarship Program, the Science Fair Awards Program, and partially the Riverwatch program. The programs involving water, land, and education of NRPA will continue to function as they have for the last 47 years with the support of the town of South Kingstown. So we thank you for your support. I can just say that we hope that the money that you may consider will increase over time. Thank you very much. Any questions? Thank you.
We had two more organizations who, it looks like, have not requested funding for this year. So with that being said, I think we're done with all of the human services and outside agencies. So if we want to move on to item number 3, which is discussion of the public safety accounts.
And that is tab 7.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Joe Jaber. I'm the interim police chief. This is my administrative assistant, Jackie Correa. Excuse me.
Indispensable.
Indispensable, yeah. That's well like it.
I think in terms of the police department budget this year, the one major change that we've looked at is taking out the public safety dispatch so that you've got 2 different departments. I think the other major issue that has come forward is the request from the police department for an increase in staffing. As I mentioned last week, the request had been for a full-time position of a new sergeant that would go into the Detective Bureau itself. After some discussions and looking at budgetary constraints, we provided a recommendation for council consideration of having that position start as a January 1st date rather than having it for a full year. Same as what we did with the Public Works Department with the new position that we asked there. I wanted Joe to take a couple of minutes to explain what the necessity is for the program expansion.
Yes, thank you, Steve. We presently have 6 detectives. One of those is the lieutenant supervisor. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, we have one detective who has been loaned out to the federal government, and he's involved in a lot of joint operations. One of those operations happened just this last week, where we arrested 5 people for selling drugs in town. So it's a very good operation, but the unfortunate for us, we can't use him as a full-time detective, so that puts us down to 5. The other officer, Detective Natalia, is a juvenile officer, and she spends about 90% of her time doing juvenile cases. The detectives these days, they have a lot of very difficult investigations. They have to deal with computers, cell phones, and those cases take a lot of time. We have numerous serious felony cases that come up, and because the detective lieutenant is involved in a lot of administrative work as well as investigations, he can't supervise those 3 remaining detectives full-time. So what we're looking for is a detective sergeant to be in between the lieutenant and the regular detectives. They're involved in numerous investigations all at once. On top of that, they have to do background investigations for anyone we hire, and they have a lot of other responsibilities other than straight detective work. So what I would like to do is have this detective sergeant fill in the gaps. He can work as a detective as well as supervise, And I would like to, in the near future, cross-train that detective to handle some of the prosecution duties, which I do. We have one officer that handles Superior Court and District Court, and then we have Detective Natali, who handles Juvenile Court. So I would like this detective to cross-train and be able to handle courts as well as act as a detective. So we're spread pretty thin up there. They do a great job, but it's difficult to work without the other two detectives, or the other detective is the lieutenant's part-time, is involved in a lot of administrative stuff. Sexual registration, budget, things like that. Take a lot of time from the detective lieutenant. So that's our reasoning. We'd like to add a detective sergeant who I can cross-train to handle all of those extra duties in court, as well as back up the regular detectives on their investigations.
Joe, I have a question. I don't know if it's just my imagination, but I feel like in the last year or so, I've seen a lot more arrests that are drug-related, like arresting drug dealers, and most recently the 3 that were arrested. Do you think that's a direct result of your detective working with the federal, on the federal level, or have you started a new program, or is it just my imagination?
You're right on the money.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, cool. How did we get involved with that? How did we, I don't know.
We loan, the federal government checks with us if they see areas where they would like local police departments to get involved. We loan an officer out. He's been out quite a while, but also in our federal forfeiture fund, there's about $90,000. And 10,000.
And all your, oh, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
And all your officers carry Narcan now, is that correct?
Yes. We train them in January, and everyone has their own
Awesome.
Narcan.
I just love to see those kind of progress, like we were just talking about with the Partnership for Prevention. You know, it just, we can't do enough to curb this epidemic, so it's great to see you making progress.
We're getting there.
Yeah, baby steps, but still,
Yeah.
it's good.
So,
We've been so short-handed, we were going to stick Joe on the bike patrol this summer.
Oh, great.
That'd be a sight.
get him a scooter.
Oh, you gotta have shorts, though. They wear shorts.
Those days are over.
So we loan out the detective. Do they compensate us in any way other than that sort of federal funding that we?
Yes, they pay. Don't they pay a lot of the? Owl? Yeah. We have more coming in too.
One of the other things, just the practical operational issues that we deal with, one of the problems that we're running into with the police officers is the amount of weight that they're carrying on a belt. So what the department is looking at this point, because what we've run into problems with is that the Chargers, the smaller cars, with the computer setups, and the amount that the officer is carrying, we're ending up with hip and back problems. What we've looked at is going into the bigger vehicles, which the council's been supportive of, and we've gone with the full-size vehicles, which gives one more room as far as the vehicle itself, as well as greater access with the computer setup. But one of the other things that Joe has started looking at, and I'll let you talk about it with the weapons.
Yes, we just spoke to a vendor today from SIG. Those are the firearms that we have. They're a local vendor. I say local, New Hampshire, but it's a very good company. We've been with them with the firearms we have now for the last 12 years. And quickly, they're offering a firearm that's several pounds lighter than the weapon we carry now, but just as accurate. And they're willing to pay us for, say, 50 weapons we have, just as an estimate. They're willing to pay us $375 per weapon, and then we would have to pay on top of each weapon another $45. These are rough rough estimates.
Joe, is that a traded or?
That's a trade, and they would also trade out the ammunition we have that will no longer fit our guns, and they will add holsters, and the clip keeps that you wear on your belt, and I think we can do that. And another estimate for under $6,000.
Wow. When do you anticipate that that could happen?
He was just in today, and it's
What we're talking about is that these are the things that we're trying to deal with as far as the risk management perspective with the department. When we went to the tasers, I don't think anyone realized how heavy the taser was going to be. So with the taser, as well as handcuffs or the other things that are being carried, it becomes difficult as far as for an 8-hour period getting in and out of those vehicles, particularly the lower vehicles. But if we can cut 8 to 10 pounds off of the belt, and what we've also looked at is providing different vests so that the vest will carry weight rather than it just being on the belt itself, so that we can deal with it. Because this becomes a major problem for us if we end up with somebody out for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks, because I think as the council's fully aware, we pay full salary during the time that they're out, plus we have to keep minimum staffing levels where they are. So these type of improvements are going to be important to us. I think that the major concerns that we deal with is really the size of the department to the number of demands that we're seeing. But there's more and more demands, and the council sees it for traffic controls. We're seeing more needs as far as the Detective Bureau on dealing with computer-associated issues, theft of identity, those types of things. And so what we're seeing is a different level of participation required in addition to what used to be 6 people on patrol 24 hours a day. So as we grow, I mean, our juvenile program has expanded. We now have 2 officers that are in the schools day to day. Fortunately, that provides us with some relief during the summer months by having those individuals back on patrol during that period of time. But we can't do a lot more without having greater resources as far as the labor. And one of the problems that we run into is trying to keep to a full complement. Right now, we're in the midst of a recruitment, and I think we've got 3 slots that are open at this point.
Yes, 3.
That we're filling, but by the time we get those officers in, it will be the end of the year, once they've gone through the training. So we've got to really look to understand what our workforce is going to look like over a 12-month period. So it's those types of things that we're seeing more and more. There's also a great deal more coordination with the university. The university now with full police powers, the coordination. One of the things we had to negotiate was a agreement between the police department and the town and with Snyder Electric as far as them having controlled patrols for the university, off of university property in the town. So there's a number of those types of issues that are taking much more of our administrative time. So we're not, we're looking at an overall budget increase if we start to just take a look at the numbers, and that's on, starting on 7-6. Joe likes 7-6 because it says he's cutting by 10%, which isn't true. If we look at the police department and dispatch on page 7-8, the overall department is up 3.86%. Some of that is directly related to the salary increase, which is plus 2.25%, because as I had mentioned, we've got some higher salary adjustments being done with the command staff at the captain lieutenant levels. We're also looking at cost increases as far as healthcare as a major contributor. But outside of that, we've tried to maintain the department at a base level.
I have a question, real quick. I seem to remember a few years ago hearing about municipalities that pay for the 911 program
like the central statewide one that local dollars go towards that, but we don't utilize the dispatch center for 911, right? The 911 calls go directly to our police station?
Yes.
So we're not appropriating any money for that, correct? Maybe I'm
I'm missing the program.
Calls come in to us.
directly to you. They don't go to like a dispatch center and then get redirected to you.
Yes, they do.
Oh, they do? Oh, okay. So we do use them.
Any call that goes to 911 has a immediate call to us for dispatch of either police, fire, or EMS. So yes, anything with 911 will come to us.
Okay. I thought that there was like a statewide thing where municipalities paid into it, but I might be thinking of some other program. Sorry.
It's all right.
Chief, I have a question about where are we in the accreditation process?
That's been a very long process. I've got it going again. It slowed a little bit. The problem with that is there's no problem with it. That the officers that are working on that also have a lot of other duties, and so they can only work on that part-time. But we've done in the last month we've done 4 major policies. I think we've completed something like 59 policies, and we're working on 69 policies. So the total accreditation, I'm not sure of the word, but the number of chapters is 17, and there are over 200 policies.
Wow.
And those policies not only have to be rewritten for South Kingstown, they also have to be amended every year because of the change in equipment, tasers, the change in case law on use of force and all those things. So we're getting there, we're getting rolling, but a lot of times we'll be working on something and then we'll get pulled off to do something else. But we are going pretty good on it, and I can't give you an actual percentage, but we're working on it.
That gives me a picture. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chief, do you think that the department can wait until January for a new detective sergeant?
We'd take them tomorrow if we could. We could put them to work, believe me. We have plenty of it.
Any other questions as far as the police or dispatch budget? If there isn't, we can move on to the animal control program. Animal control, you have the 2 divisions still. They come underneath the police department, both the animal control road program, and we've kept this separate because, as the council's aware, the animal shelter program we run as a regional. So we want to try to identify those costs separately from what we do for enforcement purposes for the road program. There are a couple of items that I wanted to reference. There's nothing on the road program. In fact, we're looking at about a 5% decline in expenses there. Some of that is related to changes in healthcare, where people have come in that aren't using the services that had been with the prior employees. When we look at the program for the shelter, and Anne Marie's here, if there's any specific questions. The major line item changes, you're seeing $13,400 in the maintenance of buildings. When we began limiting any capital budget participation for projects under $10,000, we need exterior painting to that building to the tune of $7,500, as well as $2,500. What we're attempting to do is to get all of our buildings onto an automated door opening system so that everything's operated with a fob. That way, as people come into the organization, they will get the fob if they have access or use of the buildings. And then as they leave, those fobs are throwaways. That way we keep control over the buildings. We don't have to continue to change locks or have people that may have left under circumstances that are not what you would want, that would still have some type of access availability. Since we're not using locks other than the police department that are non-copy locks, that's a concern for me as far as libraries, animal control building, particularly if somebody wanted to get in there. So what we're looking to do is to put those type of locks in place. You'll see them here at the town hall. We've got 2 doors done at this point. Police department, one of the things that the police did everything on the exterior doors, but also did additional doors for the second floor and the cells and the evidence areas, so that only those members of the department that have direct access to those specific work areas would have the fobs available to get through there. So it's another case of increasing the security, which is also part of the accreditation. So we're looking at that as one of the major line items. We're also looking at changes in personnel that, again, are going to affect the medical insurance provisions within that department. As we've talked about before, they should balance out over the course of people that need the services that didn't have them last year. It will balance out based on the 200 employees that we have within that program itself. If there's no questions, I'll move on. Unless, Anne-Marie, do you need anything to present?
I have a question. What is the capacity of the shelter? Well, you don't have to answer. Do you still have the CAN program?
The cans.
Program? I don't know if you like it that much, but.
Next time, can you bring in maybe something cute and fluffy, liven up the meeting a little bit? Ugh. Bryant's got a puppy, so we'll just keep working on him.
Police chief, it would take 4 hours for this presentation. Harbor Patrol Program, Mike has got the biggest increase. In fact, I think that Jackie almost passed out when she put this budget together with a 22% increase, but with specific reasons for it. One is that if you look at the safety equipment, what we're looking to do is to paint the bottom of Patrol Boat 1. The cost on that is going to be about, I think, $4,000, was it? By the time it was done. It's going from $5,000 to $6,900 in the account for the equipment maintenance. But the main, on the safety equipment, we're going to be replacing the radar antenna, the 8-inch display, and the transducer for the boat itself. So we need that equipment. What we're also going to be doing in the personnel area is increasing we're going to have, for the 15-week summer, 2 people on the boat, 40 hours at $15 an hour. The harbor master with Mike's operation, he'll be out there for some hours during the summer. But overall, we're going to have about a $24,750 personnel expense to be able to have our operation there. On the inclement weather days, if we're not sending the boat out, we'll have some extra dollars. If we want to be able to extend past the actual season itself for those 15 weeks, we normally find probably 5 to 7 days that we'll have flexibility with, based on not sending people out on certain days with bad weather. So there's those types of changes. Mike, do you want to address where we're going with the department this year?
Sure. Just to clarify, when we were speaking, when the manager was speaking of the numbers, it's inclusive of it's a redoing of the bottom paint, if you will, on the Patrol Boat 1, which is 16 years old. So the total number he gave is actually both the radar replacement, radar and transducer replacement, as well as the soda blasting and rebarrier coating and rebottom painting, PB1. So the boat has 16 years worth of buildup on it. It's at varying states of decay, if you will. And so we've had some professional people look at it, and they said, look, what you need to do is remove that bottom paint, and then the process is soda blasting, rebarrier coat it, and then we'll start with a new round of bottom paint, and that should take the boat through to the end of its life cycle. And then as he referenced, the radar, which is also original to the boat, so that's 16 years old, it's no longer functioning. And as part of that, with the new technology, what we can do is replace a transducer that's on the boat, which is also an older transducer. But the technology is phenomenal now. I mean, you can literally pick out a body, God forbid, on the bottom of the water column on the bottom, looking for anything in the water column. It just, really stands out. So we'll gain that technology from a safety standpoint.
Mike, I remember during the capital improvement program, we were talking about replacing a boat. It's not this one that we're making the improvements to, is it?
It's not, that's correct.
Okay.
We currently have 3 boats in the capital project. We're talking about replacing Patrol Boat 2 and Patrol Boat 3, which have developed some critical hull failures and maintenance liabilities. Patrol Boat 1, which is kept in the pond in the water throughout the summer season, that's this boat. This is just maintenance on that boat. That boat probably has a 30-year life expectancy, so we're approximately halfway through its life cycle. So these are just things that are coming up.
And I had just one more question / comment. I saw that the state, there's a state representative that's proposing anybody that's a member of the Narragansett, what is it, Narragansett,
It's a Bay Marine Task Force.
thank you, qualifies for the $10,000 from the state if her bill gets approved. And I wasn't sure how South Kingstown would fare for that. I know that our dive team with UFD is part of that task force, but I wasn't sure if we would qualify for it based on this.
Well, the Narragansett Bay Marine Task Force is predominantly, actually almost, I think exclusively fire departments.
Okay.
It hasn't, for lack of a better description, wrapped around to the southern end of the state yet. And there's a lot of growing pains with that. Some of the issues, because I've been to, there's a southern coalition, if you will, that's met with the members of the Narragansett Bay Marine Task Force, and I've been part of those discussions. One of the larger technical issues, I guess, with joining that group is you're basically at their beck and call. And so predominantly the departments that are members of that where so fire departments that have members on call at the station currently working, and they're pulling those resources from those engines and ladder trucks and rescues and staffing those boats. And so as you get to the southern part of the state, where we're predominantly volunteer, seasonal, and with our assets, it becomes an issue because they're sending, they potentially could take South Kingstown assets and send them to Providence.
Right.
To, the Sakonnet River
Gotcha.
or places like that. And so there's a lot of growing pains with that. So it hasn't really come to this area.
Sounds like you're very much on top of it.
I'm trying.
Thank you.
One of the other things, too, is that there'll be an iPad that will be brought into this program. Once we took the moorings and put those online, availability, with the iPad, they'll be able to locate them and ensure what's going on in the field itself. So that's also a cost that's within the budget this year. Any other questions? If not, we'll move to the fire alarm, which is our communications division. And Lance Whaley is our director here. The program is showing a 3% increase this year. Most of that is tied up with the fact that two of the 2.5 employees are in STEP plan at this point. So we're seeing more than the 2.25 increase. Plus, with the change in personnel, we're also seeing a change as far as the some of the healthcare costs again as well. Outside of that, we're seeing declines in the other components of the department where we can control the cost. I think the most important element of this budget is that hopefully before the end of this fiscal year, we will have the studies completed as far as the radio box system that we would like to move to. And one of the things that we also want to do, as I mentioned in the capital budget, is to ensure that we get buy-in from the businesses that would be involved. Lance, do you want to give an update as to where we stand right now?
Tomorrow, we're actually meeting with the consultant to finalize the RFP. That should be going out very shortly for review. And come the end of May, the vendors will be able to come in and do their propagation test to test their radio boxes to see how they work throughout the town. And then as soon as that's done, hopefully by June, July, we'll have the award for the company for the radio boxes, and first radio boxes should be in service come September, if everything goes right.
So you're saying next year?
Hopefully September we'll have our first radio box in.
Great.
Just to make sure council's aware too, is that a lot of the pull stations that you've seen around town for years have been disappearing. What we're doing is we're taking that system out. We had an analysis done to take a look at the use of that system over the last 5 years, and what we found is that they hadn't been used at all. In the event of coming to cell phones, and everybody from 3 years old on up is carrying one. That seems to be the mode for access to the 911. So that's a part of the system that what we're trying to do is to consolidate, to pull that out, because some of them were not being properly maintained, and we did not want to provide a false sense of security that the units were usable when in fact they weren't. One of the things that Lance introduced upon taking over the position was to sticker each of the units that were no longer operational and to begin the removal operation. How many of you got out at this point?
We have 43 out, and we have around 48 left to go.
I think it's important because what we need to do is to bring this department into the 21st century in terms of how it provides the services to the businesses. The businesses are relying on this program for fire safety. And if they can't rely on that, or if they're relying on it and we can't provide 100% service level, then we're not providing what we should be providing. But there is a cost that's going to be involved. Until we find out the type of manufacturer that's going to, or the system that's going to be put forward, we won't know what the individual boxes will cost. One of the things that we're not going to do is to get lulled into a sense of security when they say, gee, we're going to give the town the headworks that are necessary at the police station and then overcharge the people in the field for what their units would be. So we're trying to make sure that there's going to be a balanced playing field here, and that's why I want to make sure that once we decide on a system, before the council approves it, that we have a public session, that we will invite each of the 200 plus businesses that are using the system. So if they have questions, we can attempt to address those at that time, because there has to be a buy-in to get these programs. What I've seen in other communities is that they've started with a radio box system, kept a hardwire system in place, and then gone 5, 10, 15 years trying to maintain the two systems at the same time. That's just not an appropriate means of developing this system. It should be done over a time period, but it should be a specific time period that is limited, because once we get rid of the hardwire system, there's less maintenance that's going to be necessary there. There's also the potential for additional services or service opportunities for the businesses, depending on the systems that we buy into. Anything else, Lance?
No, you pretty much hit it all.
Thanks for putting the light on top of the tree for me at Bangor Eye this winter. That was a big help.
Any other questions?
No.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to EMS. Craig, you want to come up? Craig's in the enviable position that he didn't submit the budget, so he doesn't have to defend it per se. So it's all up to Jackie to tell you everything that's in there. Again, with the department, I'll let Craig start, and as far as giving you a lowdown on having been here now for the last 7 weeks.
Yes, going very well. Very excited about the future. It's a great department, great personnel, tremendous support from Chief Jaber, the administration, and you guys here. So I definitely feel in a great place. Feel like I made a great decision to come back here and work for South Kingston.
In this cold, you don't mind being up here from Georgia?
It's in fact, a couple weekends ago, I flew back to Atlanta for the weekend and came back that Sunday, and I thought the pilot landed in Fargo. Then, but yeah, I'm adjusting to the weather. But it's going very well. Going very well.
Greg, you want to mention of the medical and lab equipment replacements that you're looking at for this year?
Yeah.
We have that, and this is another one of the divisions that we're doing, the electronic door access component. You'll see that in the maintenance of building account. We've got the $5,000 increase.
Yeah, and that's for the South Station, and that is completed. doing very well. We have moved in. The second med unit is running out of there, so we're very happy about that. And that includes the security to the two doors, just like we alluded to with the police station. It's important for us in public safety to have a secure building. This is for the Bobs to secure that, and that's why the cost is so much there for that right there. Any questions or?
If there's none, we can move on. We're going to move back to tab 11 for the first couple of pages. Joe, thanks. Jackie, as usual.
Thank you.
The next set of accounts are those that really are non-departmental in nature, but are part of the core services that we have to provide. This includes the municipal insurance, unemployment insurance, workers' comp, fund balance, and health care. Now, the health care really is the OPEB money. So, as you can see, we budget in each of the departments for the specific cost associated with the employees within those departments. We have traditionally budgeted what's required for meeting OPEB requirements at the $350,000 level. Plus, we've kept a $75,000 contingency, which we've actually incorporated as a contribution to OPEB at this point. And we will continue to have to make that going forward, probably for the next 25 years. So the OPEB dollar amount is a hard number that we need to be able to stay at 100% of the ARC that's necessary. The
Steve,
fund contingency, the $65,000
Steve,
is what we've,
sorry.
I'm sorry,
Did you say we're at 100% funded for the OPEB?
100% of what the annual contribution requirement is. We are one of the highest percentages communities in the state where we're about, 52%.
Yeah.
Many communities have not even started to put money away. Overall, liability is between town and school is around 19 million, of which we've got in excess of 10 million that's sitting in the OPEB for investment purposes. Trish went through and has had a new actuarial completed, which is required, and we're working on behalf of both the town and the school. We tell the schools how much money that they have to contribute. They budget those dollars. But we're in enviable position as far as where we stand with the OPEB requirement. Again, for Bryant, as far as OPEB, that's other post-employment benefits, and it's particularly in the area of healthcare and dental. It also, in the school department, deals with life insurance that they may be offering to people in a post-employment environment. We're required to document what that cost is and then how we're going to fund that. We have to fund really in two manners. One, for what the value on the per year basis is for active employees, as well as how we're going to pay for prior employees who have retired, where the full value associated with their post-employment health care has not been properly funded for. So that's what we do with that health care account. It's more of a OPEB account, but it started out because we used to have health care provided through a cost-plus basis, which meant we paid the actual cost on health care. Last year, we transitioned back to a prospective premium payment where we get a certain dollar amount that we're told at the beginning of the year based on what our costs are going to be, and they can't be exceeded. Obviously, if we were to spend less than what we paid in, we're not getting that money back. It is a fully insured plan. We made that change last year, and I think I'm very comfortable with that change because we're seeing some major expenses associated with health care. As I mentioned last week, We are anticipating that what we had budgeted at 6% is still going to come in potentially at the 11% range. That is worth about $100,000 other than what we've budgeted right now, that we're going to have to deal with before the council adopts a preliminary budget on what steps we take. Do we provide an additional appropriation of $100,000? Do we cut existing proposed budget elements? Personnel, let's say that the two new positions, that would save about 80 of the $100,000, and we would make adjustments, or we would fund it. You're going to have the same problem tomorrow night with the school department, because their estimate is that if it comes in at 11% from where they budgeted, that they would be in at about a $200,000 level. In talking with them, I think they understand that they may be able to make adjustments within their program, not to be looking for increases in the levy transfer, but rather adjustments on the budget as presented. And we'll see how that plays out tomorrow evening. The workers' comp, we're seeing about a $5,000 decrease in projected costs. Unemployment stays at an estimate of about $2,500 over. We put that in just simply because of the increased value as far as salaries are concerned, if somebody were to be eligible for unemployment. And the municipal insurance is up about 6.6%. We're expecting that when we look at what the costs are, or what the costs that are being incurred that are related to municipal insurance, whether it's property liability, casualty, we're seeing that there's a lot of dollars that are necessary in that area. I think that the 352 is a safe number as far as what our projection is, but when we look at the actual trend of the claims that are going through, we are in the ballpark of spending the $352,000 next year. And that's almost a $42,000 increase over what we're projecting for the current year. Are there any questions as far as any of the items that I've mentioned here in that tab? If there isn't, we'll move on. The next one would be with the debt service. Well, capital budget, I'm not going to spend any time. I reduced the capital budget by $20,000, which was one vehicle. So we went down to $1,449,000, $499,000, down from what the council had seen at the end of January. If there's any questions on that capital budget, we can certainly address it. If not, we would move on to the debt service account. Again, the debt service program was pulled out of the general fund, both for the school and for the municipal debt. It doesn't include debt payments associated with any of the utilities, or if we bonded money for any special revenue fund that's self-supporting, such as the Guild. So if you look on page 16-2, we're expecting our debt service payments for school debt and municipal debt to see an increase of $228,000 next year. That's associated with the sale of $4.15 million on the rec center bonds and the projection of $1 million bond sale as far as school purposes are concerned. If you look at, I think the more important page is 16-4. To make, this is where we've consolidated to be able to give better transparency to what is the true cost from a tax base for debt service. You can see that the general fund transfers will be $1,093,000. That's both town and school associated. Then you've got the monies coming from the debt service fund itself for $105,000. You've got the school housing aid, that's the 30%. All of these things used to be buried in the general fund, and it was real difficult to really glean where we were spending the dollars. Then you've got your impact fees that are paying down a portion of it. So the long and the short of it is, you had a budgeted amount of $1,200,000 in the current year. That's dropping to $1,093,000 next year. One of the things that we'll look at is when we sell the bonds, whether or not we're going to go with equal principal payments for the 20-year repayment, or whether or not we're going to stagger in the first 3 years until we see one of the large school debts drop off the table, to be able to have a blended expense. We're not going to see spikes in that rate. We had looked at the bond sale being in the January, February, March, this time of year, for both the 4.1 million and for the $1 million with the schools. We've delayed that a bit. We're still incurring the costs associated with those construction projects, but what we're doing is using idle funds that may be generating 0.9% or 1%, rather than picking up what is going to be a 3 to a 4% long-term rate. Trish will give us a better indication in working with bond counsel and our bond advisor as to what the best time is to go into the market. I'm not sure if we've got dates at this point that we're targeting. Look around July then for introducing it into the market. Even if we do that, we'll still have 2 payments on a 6-month basis that would go out for the year. So I really think this was the best way of presenting this expense, and I think you'll have a better, when you can take the $105,000 here, which reduces what our cost would have been, to try to keep that tax levy increase in check, I think you've got the right idea. Once, with all of the debt that we've got planned through the capital improvement program, we're still going to be seeing that there'll be a smoothing, and the most we'll be up to, I think, is about $1,350,000, going probably 3 to 4 years out from now. So I think we can, and if, in fact, the bond borrow rates come in lower than the 4% which we budgeted at, then we'll see declining payment requirements as well. We budgeted at 4. I think it'll come in at less than 4 today. So that's what we have for the for debt service. Is there any questions on what we're doing there? What else have we got? That's it. Tomorrow night, we've got the school budget. I haven't seen a package from them yet. We called this afternoon. They said that they would have a PowerPoint that they'll present tomorrow evening. One of the things I'd like to suggest to the council is that we are looking at a preliminary budget adoption on next Monday night at the council meeting. What I would suggest is that the council should probably schedule an earlier time to meet so that we can plan it, so that you've got time to discuss what revisions, if any, that you wish to make in the budget. If there's things that you heard tonight, if there's things that you've heard over the budget presentation, as far as adjustments that are necessary, I think we need some time outside of the 45 minutes before the council meeting to get you, as 5 people, comfortable with what are the changes you want to introduce, so that we can present it that night in a comprehensive package. So if we're supposed to meet, Dale, do we have any interviews scheduled that night? So we would normally be starting at 6:30. Is it possible for us to start the session earlier than 6:30? I mean, how much time do you think that you as a council are going to need to review open items for the budget? If it's, if you want to start at 5:30 and have an hour available, if you do, I can also bring sandwiches in, so you can have a working dinner on that. But you'll be ready to start meeting at 6:30. But the reason I ask is that we're going to need to post that meeting.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think what we've done in the past is, if we wanted to make some changes to things that we've seen in the budget, We've submitted them to you prior to the meeting, so you had a listing.
Next thing I was going to touch.
Oh, sorry.
What I was going to say is that if you're going to, if you're going to meet at 5:30 and have an hour available, what I was going to ask everybody to do is to give me initiatives of what you're proposing. Whether it's a cut, whether it's an increase, give me the proposal, give it to us by Thursday at noontime, and when we give you the package on Thursday afternoon, we will be able to tell you what each council member has that they want to put on the table for that discussion. That will serve as the 5:30 agenda. Now, if I only get 2 or 3 items, with the council's permission, I'll start the meeting at, instead of 5:30, we'll start it at 6, if that's all you need. But if you give me that, any of the items that you want, I mean, if you want to, any of those changes, either up or down, the only thing I ask is that you can do anything you want on general fund or utilities. The only thing you can do as far as schools is an initiative is to ask to increase or decrease their appropriation from the council rather than anything dealing specifically with their programs, because that's outside of your prerogative. So if we can agree, we'll tentatively consider a 5:30 start. We'll also consider that anyone on the council has the ability to give us, so we can set up an agenda for that discussion for the 5:30 on next Monday night. Are we good with that? Okay. I'm all set.
Any other interests or any other comments before we convene? Seeing none, then we don't have to make a motion. The meeting is adjourned, and we will see you tomorrow night. And for the record, the meeting tomorrow is not at 6:30, it's at 7 o'clock, according to our agenda.